Hey everyone, and thank you so much for joining me. If you have been looking recently at some of the autumn-winter trend reports and you're thinking, which are the top key ones that I should look to wear? How can I incorporate them into workwear all the way through to weekend, but equally not get stitched up with a load of clothes that at the end of the year are going to be out of style and I can't wear? I'm going to show you my top 10 favourite looks that have come out of the autumn-winter 17 trends. I'm going to show you how you can use things you likely already have in your wardrobe so that you aren't having to spend a load of money, and I'm going to be going to high-end high streets, so this isn't going to cost you a fortune.
It is now September, autumn, winter is upon us. If you are thinking about what is on trend to wear, what should you be buying, you don't have to go and buy a whole load of stuff. And in fact, one of the items I'm going to show you is a really old jacket that I thought was very dated and I was never going to be able to wear again, and I can't believe it's come back round. So I'm also going to show you items that you're bound to have in your cupboard already that you can reuse and you don't have to get rid of them altogether. So what are some of the key looks and trends that you're going to see in autumn winter? The ones that I've picked, which I would personally wear and that I'm going to share with you, the key highlight colour this season is red. And the great thing is you don't have to go pillar box red in order to wear it. I saw some items on the runway from Alexander McQueen that were in quite a scarlet, very bright red, but then I've also seen wine colours that have come through from places like Max Mara, and personally for me, I would never wear a bright red, but I quite like wearing a wine coloured sort of maroony tone. Second up is feathers and fur. For me, faux fur, but anything in terms of accessories, fur coats, jackets that you can wear over the top. Probably my favourite thing is knitwear. I live in London and it's always cold. Knitwear this season is oversized, but it's also detailed. So for example, you might go for something like this, which is from Reiss. You can wear it in so many different styles. You can put a belt around it. You can wear it with like tight leather trousers and have it really loose. Really popular details that you're going to start to see are things like oversized polo necks, cable knit designs, knitwear that literally comes to your knee or below, but also lots of fancy details. So if you don't love massive oversized jumpers, you can go for things like this where it's more of a fitted cut, but it's got details on the shoulders such as this bow. Or even, you'll be pleased to know, for any of you who bought frilly items in the spring and summer, like myself, they're still in for autumn winter. So for example, you could go for something like this, which is just a plain jumper. This is from Ted Baker. It's got frilly shoulders on it. It takes this jumper from something which is really quite plain into something that's got a bit of added detail. But you can see with all of these items, they are not so crazy and so styled that come next year they're going to be dated looking. 90s style suiting. I wasn't quite sure how I felt when I saw this, but it's growing on me. So what we're talking about is loose cut office style trousers with a matching double breasted loose fitting blazer. The key colour to wear the 90s suit in is grey. The tone of grey that I've been seeing in a lot of the stores has been quite a pale grey, which I know on me washes me out quite a lot and is not flattering. So what I've done is I've been looking at a combination of the trousers that I was mentioning and the double-breasted blazer. Both lean towards that 90s style that is in at the moment, but neither are so 1990s that I'm not going to be able to wear them. So I've got a couple of examples, and the first one is this. This is a great trouser that you could wear to work or for more formal occasions. They're quite a loose cut, but they are very classic. I've got a number of trousers in this cut and style. They're the kind of things you can wear to meetings, or, you know, if you've got like a formal lunch that you need to go to and you want to wear trousers, these are a great thing to get. I decided to get these in the maroon colour so that they do lend themselves to what's going on this season, but they're not so maroon that come next year I'm not going to be able to wear them. The second pair of trousers are these. Now, here's another thing. Navy blue, for example, isn't a really strong colour that you're seeing in the autumn winter collections. Greys, reds, some blacks are, but personally greys don't really work for me. Navy blues, however, really complement my skin tone and things like that. So another pair of work trousers, but these are more of a fitted trouser. I like these for the weekends when I want to wear something that's more casual, but I don't want to wear jeans. For the double-breasted blazer, I've gone for this, which I saw, and I can't even lie to you, I loved it from the minute that I saw it. It is almost like a tuxedo cut of jacket. The fabric on it is really good. It didn't break the bank to buy it, and although it's got that double-breasted formal look about it. It's not quite the 90s suit, which is double-breasted and very masculinely cut, which when I look at that, I just know I'm not going to feel comfortable wearing it. I know that's going to be an item that I have to put on eBay in a couple of months, and probably no one else is going to want to buy it either. So there are definite ways, as you can see, that you can incorporate the key styles and the key trends without going so heavily into it that you're going to be left with a wardrobe full of stuff you can't wear at the end. When I was looking through a lot of the catwalk collection images that were taken and some of the video footage, I really noticed that capes were a big thing. Capes, I feel, are quite a big thing every autumn winter, but the one key twist this year has been more embellishment. So for example, I've got a cape here. It doubles as a sweater. This for me works better than another key trend that you're seeing, which personally isn't for me, and it's cardigans. But if cardigans are your thing, then that's great, because that's all over the place. But this, I felt like this was a really good balance between a cape knit, something that's got a bit of the cable knit design going through the bottom of it there. Tartans and tweeds were also another item that I saw that I was quite surprised to see. And they've been incorporated in some ways into the grey 90s masculine suit, but they're also their own thing. Now, here's a really good example of a blazer that I've had for a couple of years. This is from Ted Baker. I really thought, this has been in my wardrobe for ages, and I must confess I really love the way it looks when I wear it. It skims in around your figure without being very tight, and I like this type of shoulder. But because of the fabric, I just thought to myself, what am I going to do with this? No one's going to want to buy this if I put it on eBay, and I sort of feel like it's sat there. It's a great jacket, but it's this print. What am I going to do with it? Well, what do you know, because it's come back in again. So this is a good example of what I was mentioning earlier, in that you can take items you already have. Even, for example, the jeans I'm wearing here. These are so old. I got these in 2013 from J Brand. They don't make them anymore. But because of the colour and depth of them and the detail on the legs, and this season being all about those added details, there's something that lend themselves really nicely to the trends that are going on, just by simply mixing in some like new items and new colours and new textures that work with it. In keeping with the reds, velvet and a 70s twist is also quite popular. Now personally for me, I'm not going to do a full-on 70s thing, because the sort of boho vibe, it just isn't me. I think if I'm more anything, I'm probably a bit more 80s than I am 70s in terms of my style. But if you want to incorporate elements of that, we got a great option here. You would think this is a Balmain blazer. It is not. This is from a very inexpensive website called Rosegal. Some of you may have heard of it. Every so often, I do like mixing in items from a lot of these Chinese websites. I won't even lie to you, very often you might order 10 things, and out of all 10 things there's only one thing that fits and is good enough quality. But I got lucky with this. This is a really lovely cut. The fabric is quite warm. It has got this lovely velvet tone to it. It's got the gold buttons on the side there. That utility look that I mentioned earlier is another really strong vibe that's coming through. This is a wool pea coat. It's got the double-breasted details down the front, so it falls quite nicely into a lot of the trends. It's oversized, which is another thing that fits in. But it does have a tiny lean to that utilitarian, slightly military look that you're seeing. Now let's talk about the good stuff. It is shoes and bags. Personally, the bags this season are not for me at all. I quite like a structured bag, something that looks quite sort of boxy and holds its shape. A lot of what you're seeing this season are oversized bags that are very slouchy and don't really have a shape to them. A good tip that you could take on if you want to lean towards that trend without actually going and buying a bag like that, because maybe you, like me, don't like that style or structure, or maybe you're just thinking, I can't see that being a longer term investment piece if you're going to buy designer, of course. One thing you can do is have a look at things like bucket bags. They have a pretty much all year round appeal. Another thing you can do, take a bag in a style and shape that you like and maybe incorporate some of the season's details into it. So I've got a couple of options here. Both are from Aspinall of London. This one is the Mayfair bag. This is like a doctor's shape bag. I like it in terms of the fact that it's quite formal, but equally you can wear this with like an oversized knit jumper and some tight trousers, and it still goes. But the fact that it's in that dark wine colour really lends itself quite nicely. If you want something that's maybe not quite so formal and feels a little bit younger, another good example here, it's looking maybe lighter than it really is, but this is sort of like a cranberry, almost like a pinkish red colour. Out of everything, shoes were the thing that I got really excited about, and it's so weird the way they've been paired up with the looks, because actually the shoes don't really go with a lot of the looks. We're talking statement shoes. Some of the designs of the actual shoes themselves go from sort of quite 70s looking with block heels through to more stiletto type shoes. So I've seen lots of shoes that are coming out in velvet, in satin, in jacquard type materials. If the shoes are not something that you necessarily want to buy into and you're scratching your head thinking, do I have anything right now that could be quite similar, go and have a look. Because for example, when I saw a lot of the shoes that are coming out, I immediately thought of these. Now the colour isn't right. The colours that you're seeing are obviously more autumn winter, but the actual design of these is pretty much spot on to what you're seeing, whereby it's got the satin, it's got the embellished toe, it's got pearls, it's very decadent. There's been so many dupes of these shoes going around, and in fact I've seen similar things on the likes of Dune and on ASOS. So if you ever bought anything like this, if you've got any shoe that comes in any sort of fancy detailing, then you don't necessarily have to go out and buy it. Whatever is going on the catwalk, some of that stuff is crazy and you'd never wear it. And what I always do is I pick out the things that for me are wearable, that I feel comfortable in. Even if I'm on Instagram and I see all of the fashion bloggers like wearing beautiful dresses and frills and boho styles, for me, honestly, it's not something that I would ever feel comfortable in. So I think when you're watching this, or when you're looking at anything fashion related, don't necessarily try and force yourself to look a certain way. You can take your own style and apply the new trends to it. One final piece of advice from me, because I made this error last year. Even though right now it's fairly warm, I would recommend that you start looking in the stores at the moment to see what's out, because from now until early November, that is when a lot of the autumn winter clothes come in. And I personally found last year I didn't start looking until it got really cold in the UK, which was November, December, by which time it was that intermediary season clothes that were out, which led into spring. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions at all, please leave them below, and I will see you in the next video.